Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick-and-mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hey everyone, welcome back for part 2 with Moira Kucaba. This one we get a little bit deep. We were knee deep in the conversation about our social media growth and visibility and insights. But one thing that Moira and I have in common is rock bottom moments that we are also really open to talking about. So there is a little bit of a shift, a little bit of an energy shift, if you will, in some of the conversations that we have in this part 2, but they are also so powerful and they really connect to our greater purpose, our why we do what we do, and knowing that from our rock bottom moments, we were destined for big, amazing things. So we get a little bit vulnerable in this, but I hope you can see the power in the vulnerability and the story, and I hope you enjoy.
I could not agree with you more. I had a ton of content go viral about peptides and many chat, like thousands of many chats going out with information and zero conversion, like zero. And I
Interesting.
was like, this is going to be the heaviest lift ever. Obviously, I changed the many chat because if it's not working, we need to improve upon it. But what I did is I went into all of those responses and there were days where I would voice memo, 20, 30, 40 people because I so like want to connect with them. I want them to know I'm a real person and I want to know what they're struggling with so I can help them. But it still is. I still do that. I mean, people think like, oh, you're so successful, you make millions of dollars. I'm like, yeah, but like my love language is connection. Like I want to impact
Mhm.
people's lives. I want to change people's lives. I want to have real conversations with real people. So yeah, the many chats set up, but I am following that up with voice messages all day long. So I can't
I
agree with
think
you
that's
more.
a really powerful note just to stay on here for discussion, Moira, because going back to like the visibility piece of showing yourself regularly, but also showing yourself in stories so people know that you're a real person, because we have so many incredible tools at our fingertips with AI, let alone something
Mhm.
like ManyChat automation, but having AI support us in so many areas of our business. But focusing on what you just said with the voice memos, that it's connection.
Yeah.
And I've said this to a lot of my clients as well, that social media, we're going back to the basics where it's social, like engage with each other on each other's posts and stories and in the DMs. And I love what you said. And I would love for you to even to elaborate to see like,
Yeah.
have some of those voice memos even been a positive conversion opportunity for
Oh
you,
yeah.
whether it be peptides or your masterminds, people working with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anytime you're trying to sell a product online, whether it be a mastermind or a product, you have to know that like it's a numbers game. I hate to say
Mhm.
that, but like, people are like, "Oh, I sent 10 voice memos yesterday and nothing happened." And I'm like, "Well, I sent 120 this week and like one person responded." Like I've always seen it too as, and it's just my mindset around connection and cold market. It's like, it's going to take time. I'm not going anywhere. I know what my heart is for people, and I know that I am so just service driven. And so they're going to need that mini chat and then the voice message. And then I'm engaging on their content because I'm following them. I want to know about them. And then maybe I'm sending another message. So it takes time, right? But you have to keep putting in a lot of effort. But 100%, I mean, the first week I started doing voice messages, several people converted without sending me a voice message back, right? Like they didn't
Wow.
even necessarily need to have the conversation, but it was enough that they're like, wow, she's a real person. She actually cares. She really wanted to connect with me. And they're just going right in and purchasing like that. So I think it's a huge trust builder. And that's the thing. And I'm sure you agree with this. Like so many people online are like throwing up a link and expecting to be a massive seller or convert really high. I'm like, Hey, I've got over 100,000 followers and I'm very successful in business, and throwing up a link doesn't convert that well for me. Like it might every once in a while, but that's not where the conversion happens. It comes from building relationship for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I've heard people have this conversation even just in our mastermind communities about when you look at people that like your photo or your reel, like your piece of content, let alone comment or tag a friend in it. And this kind of goes back to even the conversation surrounding data, like what we
Hmm.
look at on our posts. We can almost consider those people as like warm leads or, quote unquote, opting in to your content to open the conversation. That if someone
Yes.
has commented on your peptides content, well, they're probably curious, or maybe they either already take it or they're thinking about it. But now you have that warm lead opportunity to have that conversation to see, like, all right, how can I support you? Or what are you doing? What are you looking for?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a game changer. I mean, there, we all know this somewhat general statistic of like it takes between like 7 and 15 times to like
Mhm.
touch on somebody that's a cold market lead for them to ever convert. And I just think so many times people are thinking that's going to happen like the first or second time somebody engages with their content. And it's like, it goes back to the old adage of like planting seeds. And that always resonated with me. I'm like, I just need to wake up and like plant as many seeds as I can, which is touch points with people, which is connection for me, which sometimes people feel like that's kind of the part they don't like. And I'm like, you just got to reframe that because you're building a relationship and an opportunity to change someone's life, whether it be from a mastermind that you're offering, a coaching program, a product. Like that to me is such a beautiful part of my day. And so, if I plant enough seeds and I just keep planting seeds every single day and I keep nurturing them and I keep watering those seeds, like they will grow at some point. So I'm not looking at that return on the investment of my time and my input like that day.
Mhm.
I just trust the process and I've been in it long enough to know that it will always work if I just keep really coming from a place of service too. Like it is, we hear this and we can read this in books, but I feel like it's like a heart posture. It's like a shift that I don't know how to necessarily tell people to make it, but I show up every day. Like I don't need to work if I don't want to work. Like I literally show up because I want to change their lives. Like I want to help them. So sure, it comes back to me, financially, but like that's not even on my radar when I'm thinking about this, right? Like I am truly putting their needs and their life at the forefront of this and my desire to change their life before I'm thinking about anything for me. And I think that shift is everything.
Absolutely. Okay, I love what you're talking about with, the mindset that you have effectively with planting seeds, watering the seeds, and it's playing the long game. Having a
Hmm.
podcast. This is a long game. We're not going
Yeah,
to start a podcast, have 6 episodes and then make 100K a year on sponsorship.
right.
It's the long game. So, taking that kind of notion, what do you do, or maybe what would you have as advice for people that are feeling frustrated with maybe not being prepared to play the long game? As mindset coach Moira, what would you tell them? What are pieces of advice that people could
Yeah.
remember?
Gosh, such a great question, Allie. And I think it's like so many answers wrapped up in one. But if we talk about like both ends of the spectrum, first of all, if you don't have that much time to play the long game, that's actually a gift, right? Like it's kind of goes back to like our network marketing days when like we were pushing for the end of the month or a goal or some type of rank. And it's like, Brendan Burchard says pressure is a privilege. Like there's
Mm,
so many things that I never would have accomplished had it not had a timestamp on it. Like you've got 6 weeks to make this happen, or you got to hit this goal by the end of the month. Well, if you hadn't given me that deadline, it might have taken me a year or 2 years, or maybe I never would have hit that goal. But all of a sudden, there's a deadline, and it's like game on, right? So the conversations change, your actions changes, how you're investing your time into that goal changes, like everything changes, your energy around it changes. And so if you don't have the long game to play, that is such a gift because you're going to make it happen. You're either going to make it happen or you're not going to make it happen. But for me, I always make it happen. Like I love collapsing time And that's why I think it's so important even for me because, I don't need to have these timestamp goals anymore, but I do. Because
Mhm.
if I don't say I'm going to do this by this date for myself, then I'm just not that motivated. Like I'm not that engaged towards the goal. So I love to give myself, even if I have time, a shorter road to hit that goal because you're just that much more motivated. If you said, we're going to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 weeks, or we're going to lose 20 pounds in the next 20 years, like
Yes.
which one's exciting? Which one's motivating? You're not going to be excited if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 20 years, So that is a gift. The other thing, though, that I think is really everything, and this is I have a morning process that I teach through this and I do every single day of my life. And it really came about 10 to 12 years ago when I felt this, when I felt the frustration of every day it felt like I was losing. Every day it felt like nobody was saying yes. Every day it felt like no one was returning my messages. Every day it felt like no one was engaging on my social media. And you're working so hard. But what I realized is, you know this, I'm sure, that our brains filter out and look for scarcity, danger, threats, where we're not winning, right? So our brains are literally only filtering in the things that are like, "Ah, it's not working. They're not responding. Your social media is falling flat. You are not good at this. You're going to fail. You're not making enough money." And all the comparison game, right? So I was literally like, I can't do this. Like,
Mhm.
this is not working for me. This is not fun. I don't enjoy this. And I feel like I'm losing every single day. But I also understood the power of the brain and my mind, and that if I focused on the right things, I would feel more of them, I would see more of them, and then I would attract more of them. So I started simply asking myself every day, how am I winning?
I
Instead
love
of
that.
by default seeing how I was losing, because that's what we do as a society. It's what we do as human beings. We can list 20 things about that we don't like about our life. But if I said, what are the 5 things that are just rocking in your life right now? Like, where are you winning? We kind of stammer and we're like, we don't even know what to say. So I look every single day, pen to paper. What the hand does, the mind remembers. I write it down. So I write down 5 ways I'm winning every single day. It could literally be the teeniest, tiniest conversation or win or whatever it is. And you start to stack that, right? Think about that. That's 35 things a week. You've written 140 ways that you're winning a month. You've written over 1,000 things that you're winning in the year. Think about what that starts to build in you. It starts to build belief. It starts to build identity. It starts to build, I'm actually crushing it. I'm actually doing good. Life is working in my favor, right? The universe has my back. And you start to shift. And when you shift your energy and you shift your belief, every single thing in your life changes. And so we have to train the brain to look for the ways that we're winning every single day. Most importantly, on the days that we feel like we're losing, right?
Oh my gosh, this is so powerful. I have
Yeah.
like follow-up questions, but I need to know. Today, it's well halfway through Monday as we record this. How are you winning today?
I mean, I can guarantee you one of the things, because I always write it the morning for the day before. One of the biggest things I'm going to write today is you. Like this
Oh.
conversation, this is such a gift. I had an incredible conversation with my friend Amberly Lago a couple hours ago. It's so easy once you start training your brain, because people are like, well, what do I do if I don't have anything I'm winning? I'm like, your brain is literally just not trained to look for it. We're winning every single day, whether it can be we saw a beautiful sunset, we found a parking space. Like the littlest things
Yes.
matter almost more because we start to train the brain towards noticing them. And I'll tell you one of the things of when I remember like this being one of the most powerful processes that changed my life. There was a time, this was probably about 8 years ago, and I made a teeny tiny, smallest, didn't dot the I in my business mistake. I had been in a qualification for a bonus for 6 weeks. And on the last day of the 6 weeks, I didn't dot the I. And I woke up that morning and I didn't get a $50,000 bonus. $50,000.
No.
Yeah. Talk about like one of the worst days. Like there'd been tons of people working to this goal. I was leading them. I felt like I let everyone down. I felt like I failed myself. I failed them. Like I failed my family. I mean, $50,000 is an insane amount of money to come into your family, right? I felt like I failed my husband. That day, I just happened to have a call with another top leader who I adored. And we got on the call, and I remember just I had this cup of coffee, and I was sitting at the bar at my kitchen counter, and like I just had this unbelievable like heart to heart like connection and conversation, and she was there for me, and we talked through it. And the next morning when I woke up, I read my vision, which I do every morning. And there was one line in my vision that I had written like 3 years before that. And what that line said was, I'm in relationship and I work with other top leaders that I love and admire. And it was that conversation, it was that connection, it was that hour phone call that was like, you know what? That relationship and that person in my life that wasn't there 3 years ago when when I had that big dream and that big vision is so much bigger than $50,000. And so I was immediately able to shift out of this horrific loss that was just destroying me to like, I have all these amazing things in my life. Every single day I'm winning, even if I'm losing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, we just have to train the brain to focus on that.
That's so powerful, Moira. And I think that you and I also have in common that we will talk about our rock bottom moments.
Hmm.
And I've always said this when I talk, I guess, more publicly about my rock bottom moment a couple years ago. But that the good thing about rock bottom is that that's like the lowest you can go. Like we really can't go any further than that.
Yeah.
And so there's only one direction that we can go, and that
Yep.
is up, up, out. It's
Yeah.
going to be gritty. It's probably not going to be pretty, but man, are you going to learn from that experience, and you're going to build that resiliency. You're going to build
Yes.
different type of muscles, more so the mindset muscle. And I think that that is a gift.
Oh,
I would change some
girl.
of the things if I could, but I can't. So I'm going to take them in the weird packaging of a gift that per se, and use that as fuel.
Yeah. I mean, I always say rock bottom will teach you way more than any mountaintop ever will. Like
Oh, I love that.
a thousandfold, right? Outside looking in, it's really easy to see. So I had this experience with my brother not that long ago. He was going through some really tough things in his family, and it was like every day we were on the phone for months, months on end. And he called me one day and he's like, we're done. Like we can't do this anymore. And it was like all of a sudden he was taking extreme action in a different direction. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like so happy because it was his rock bottom day. But I knew what was going to come out of rock bottom. Rock bottom forces your hand. Rock bottom makes you do things to the extreme, take radical action, change the direction of your life. And I just remember outside looking in, I was like, this feels really weird because I'm so happy, but this is rock bottom for him. But I get what's going to happen because it's rock bottom. He's finally going to stop the downward spiral
Mm.
and make this shift. And again, outside looking in, it's so easy. Can I ask you, Allie, will you share what
Yep.
that rock bottom was for you?
Yeah, it was smack in the middle of the pandemic years, and as a brick and mortar gym owner in Canada, in Ontario, we got hit really hard. And not that that was the moment, but this is just like setting the scene, if you will.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were still new to entrepreneurship. Like we bought a brick and mortar space only to close it. Uh, Gosh, it was like 6 months after. And you kind of like obviously have no roadmap as an entrepreneur, let alone at that time. And so trying to figure that out. But then in the midst of that, my dad passed away unexpectedly.
So sorry.
And we were really close. And I'd already gone through like a pretty deep and extensive grief journey for someone at the time. I was like mid 30s. I lost my brother at the age of 18, all my
Mm.
grandparents, an aunt. So I had like a good amount of loss that I had dealt with for someone of my age. And
Mhm.
then to lose my dad in the middle of these like really brutal times was just like soul crushing. And that was the first time I really
Yeah.
also experienced like extreme heartbreak and heartache. Like no boy has ever given that to me, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. But losing my dad was just like cracked my heart right open. And I was like a shell of a human for a couple of weeks, and then
Mm.
realized like, Allie, you only have one direction to go. And I could sit back here in the backyard and not talk to anyone, or I can use this as fuel and make him really damn proud of me
Mm.
and do really cool things. So
Wow.
between losing my brother at the age of 18, who's my greatest fitness inspiration because he took
Mm,
his life after dealing with bipolar disorder for a couple of years, and
mm.
fitness was his chosen medicine. So I have that as my fuel for being strong and fit and healthy. And then after losing my dad, I was like, I'm just destined to do great things in this world. And I only
Yeah.
have one time here, so I'm gonna make it fucking great. Sorry for the
Oh,
swearing.
I love it. Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, it's passionate swearing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And I mean, this honestly, just for our listeners, this call gets crazier and crazier because my side of the audience is like freaking out right now because I lost my sister and I like lost my mom last year and I've lost the grandparents and like all of this. So, I mean, our stories are crazy similar, like so much more than we thought, just kind of outside looking in at each other's
Yes.
profiles. We're like, oh, it looks like we have so much in common.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I
And
just love that you were able to take that. And I mean, that's my desire for people, right? It's like I want to know people's stories, but I want them to triumph. I want them to take the hard and use it for good and use it for the rebuild and the rise and the reinvention and the reason you're going to do what you're going to do in the world instead of the reason it's you're held back from what you're supposed to do in the world.
oh my gosh, yes. And I love that that's something that I picked up from your content too, for again, kind of what you just said, that we sort of know each other, but like not really. We need to drop in and spend some quality girl time together
Yes.
to really get to know each other. But I know that you speak openly and passionately, and from a Uno reverse moment for my audience to understand, if you would be open to sharing what your rock bottom moment was
Mm.
to create the resilience and strength that we as outsiders see today.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, we're just dishing it all out today. Yeah, so I going back kind of like you said, the pre-landscape. So I was like born an Enneagram 3 achiever, right? So I was, really good at sports, really good in school, really good in whatever I did. And that might sound egotistical, but I'm just saying like that's who I was as a child. I was an
Same.
achiever. And my parents didn't put any pressure on me, but I see this with my own child today, who's 16. I'm like, it's really fun to be really good at everything. And you want to keep that up, right? Like the world just celebrates you in every capacity. And so as I started to get into my high school years, the pressure started to increase, right? Academically, sports, socially, all of those things. And so I have addiction in my family. It was kind of removed from me. So I just kind of grew up with my mom always being like, hey, be careful. We have alcoholism in our family. Your uncle or your grandfather, nobody that I knew in my everyday life. So I was kind of like, whatever, like everybody's partying. I'm going to jump right in. And so when I started drinking in high school, the only way that I can describe it is it was like a pressure valve that got pushed for the first time in my entire life where I was able to breathe and stop performing and
Mm.
just let go. And it's so insane to think that at 14 years old, how quickly I fell into extreme alcohol addiction. It wasn't even, some crazy drug or anything like that. It was just alcohol. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I had thrown away like all my academic, stuff, all of my D1 sports dreams, and of course, rationalized it because as an addict and an alcoholic, you're the best liar in the world, but especially to yourself. So you think, well, I don't want to pursue that. It's not my dream anymore. And by the time I was 21, talk about a rock bottom, like
Mm.
rock bottom as rock bottom gets. I wanted to end my life. I was drinking every single day around the clock. I was either passed out cold or the second I would wake up, I would start drinking in order to function at 21. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And, I didn't want to, I just kept feeling like I always say I really understand suicide, unfortunately, because my desire to end my life came from this place of like, I cannot continue to put my family through this living hell of
Mm.
who I have become. And I couldn't find a way out. And so I felt like the easier way for them would be to just end it. And, you know, by the grace of God, I ended up getting sober at 21. And, there was a moment, and I go into this sometimes in keynotes that I give because I talk a lot about listening to the whisper. As
Hmm.
business driven as I am, and as data driven and entrepreneurial as I am, I'm also very spiritual. I think you get spiritual when you hit rock bottom.
Yep.
Um, there was a whisper in that moment that I wanted to end my life that just said, "You're meant for more. You're meant for bigger things. This
Mm.
isn't this isn't your life. This isn't the end." And just like you said, Allie, it was like, I mean, I had tried to get sober, so I didn't know how this was going to be any different. But, I think that's something that is ingrained in us, is that resiliency and that grit, that you just get back up again and you try again and you get back up again and you try again and you get back up again and you try it again. And so I just tried again. And, like, here's the crazy thing that I have always said is, I think so much of my success in business came from what I did when I got sober. I went in, I went to the 12 steps, but I sought out people that were sober on the road ahead of me, the people that had what I wanted, the people I wanted to learn from, the people I got in the rooms with them, literally. I asked them 1,000 questions. They became sponsors, they became friends, they became mentors. I lockstep did what they told me to do because I didn't know how to live sober. Right. And it's no different that when I got into entrepreneurship, it was like, let me find the people that are succeeding, that I have no idea what I'm doing. And they're going to teach me, they're going to guide me. But the difference is, I am going to do every single thing that you're advising me to do. I'm not going to pick and choose and do what's comfortable. If I want this, and there was no option for me in sobriety, right? It was, you're either going to get sober or you're going to end your life. I was like, I just kind of gave over my thinking to them, right? It's like we say in recovery all the time, like, my best thinking landed me at rock bottom. So, like, my thinking's not so good, It's
Yeah.
kind of like if you were to hit bankruptcy in business, like, your best thinking got you to bankruptcy. Let's let somebody else lead you. And
Hmm.
so I learned to learn from other people, to do every single thing that successful people were telling me to do, to copycat their methods. And that led me to this beautiful life and this beautiful, road of sobriety. And so when I got into entrepreneurship, it was, and again, now remember, I was an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur for 17 years, fumbling my way through, feeling very alone, trying to figure it out. And when you said in the beginning of this episode, like, what is the difference between getting into masterminds, getting with coaches, getting in the room? It's night and day. I would have never survived at 21 if I hadn't gotten in the rooms with people that had figured it out, right? I would have died.
Hmm.
And so when I finally got into the rooms in business with the people that could show me the way, I remember being like, this is literally like, I'm doing the same thing I did when I got sober so many years ago. And so it's very, very just, it's like a mirror to me when I think about my sobriety and my success in business and how I did both of those things. I mean, granted, I don't even want to say how I did it because I think there's something so much bigger than me throughout all of it.
Hmm.
And I'll touch on that really quick too. I don't know why this is coming through, right? It just comes through, and I feel like this is meant to be shared. I have a lot of faith, right? It is a huge part of my life, but I work with so many faith-driven people that don't have belief in themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I always challenge them. And I say, you devoutly believe in a creator, a God, a universe that created you,
Hmm.
but you don't believe in yourself. And I often say, people hide behind the mask of, oh, I'm not confident enough, or I'm insecure. And I often say, that's not a insecurity problem. That's actually a faith problem. Because so much of why I've been able to do what I've been able to do is because I believe I'm called to it, right? It's not just me leading me to the dream. It's something bigger and so much more outside of myself, that I am always willing to sacrifice my own insecurity, my own uncomfortability to help someone else. And there was so much of that in the beginning, so much fear. What are people going to say about me on social media? How are they going to receive this? And I constantly had to say, it is not about me. And I have to learn to care more about other people than I do my own ego. And I gotta get out of the way and do the mission. Right?
Mm, mm. I love that.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. And I mean, I just want to honor what you shared, first of all. Thank you for sharing all of
Yeah.
that. And I really celebrate you for also seeing the beautiful alignment between a really big part of your life and a really powerful part of what makes you you, like the experience that you then chose. So you can go one of two ways, and you chose the harder path.
Yeah.
You chose to take the action, put in the work, and now create this big, beautiful life for yourself and this road ahead.
Yeah.
But how special is it to see the alignment that it has with the road of entrepreneurship, of taking the action, choosing the hard path? I mean, let it be known, if people listening don't already know, entrepreneurship is the harder path
Yes.
that we all choose, with more road bumps and everything. But that you've chosen to do that twice with your,
Yeah.
sobriety journey, but that it is also beautifully in alignment to pave the way for the road that you've created with entrepreneurship, but
Yeah.
pulling others out of the trenches and showing them the way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think it's all how what we make of it, right, Allie? Because you've had the same experience. Like, do we want to let the hard define us and stop us? Because you and I both know that most people's story is keeping them stuck.
Mhm.
And we decided to let our story be our fuel instead. That's the shift, right?
Yes. I think that's like one of
Yeah.
the most powerful takeaways from this entire episode. That if you have not heard that loud and clear, but using your story as fuel. I love what Moira
Yeah.
just said. Like, woo, goosebumps. It is like using your story and using it on repeat too. And again, kind of going back to the content piece and the social of how can you
Mhm.
weave your story in to your content? Yes, but how you are being of service to the people that you
Mhm.
want to help and the people that you want to impact.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, so good, so good. I just looked at the clock. We have been here for a while. Oh my gosh, I think we could stay for 3 more hours. Like I could.
It's in like an
Oh
hour.
my gosh,
And
we
I was like,
might need to do like part two, three, four, five, six.
yes.
Allie, tell me this. What do you have like offering wise for people listening that are like, I just need to connect more with her? What do you have offering wise now, and how can people find you?
Best place to find me is on Instagram at Ali Aruda, or you can check out my podcast, Inspire and Move with Ali Aruda. But Instagram is where I hang out the most, and you can work with me one on one, whether you are in the Ontario area or you live in the US. We can hang out on Zoom, but I'd love to be able to coach you and celebrate you and support you. I'm a big lover of consistency, so that comes through a lot with my coaching work, as well as the Mentor Collective Mastermind. It is Chris and Lori Harder's program, but my husband and I are coaches in there, and that's the second most frequent place that I hang out is online in there. And I would
Oh,
just love to connect with you all. And same thing, Uno
yeah.
Reverse, Moira, where can everyone find you and how can they
Yes.
work with you?
Yeah, I love all of that. And I love Chris and Lori. I mean, they're amazing. Same thing, Instagram at moirakucaba.com. Your websites, everything's linked right there so you can find me easily. And yeah, all the ways I mentor women, coaching them exclusively in small pods and one-on-one. You can, if you're interested in the health and wellness side of things, we'll link all that in the show notes for both of our shows. So you can find me anywhere. But I honestly, I'm in my DMs. Like I said earlier, I don't have a team answering my DMs. So just shoot me a message on Instagram. You can ask me anything. I'm an open book. I am here to serve and really looking forward to connect with any of you. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that anyone can send Moira or myself a voice note on Instagram and you will get a voice note back.
absolutely.
Challenge for
Absolutely.
everyone listening.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, Allie, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful conversation. It is, I mean, hands down, going to be the first thing going in my journal tomorrow for my win. It has just filled my absolute soul. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Moira. This was a beautiful conversation. I know we kind of went everywhere, and I'm
Oh,
grateful for that. I think that's a sign of a really great connection and conversation that we can go deep, we can go tactical, and know that there's
yes,
also so much room for more.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You guys, my people, go follow Allie's show. Allie people, come my way. Share this episode with a friend, guys, and we will see you on our next show. Thanks so much for joining.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.